Hi everyone, I'm CCYamato. It's episode 10, and I'm kind of looking forward to this one because I really liked this chapter of the manga. This is the snooze chapter, or chapters, and then based on last week's title, it also says that we might get Labyrinth in this, so I didn't really care about Labyrinth. It's honestly kind of forgettable as cards go, because it's basically just Maze again, but I guess we'll have a look here. I don't really expect any divergence from the manga this time, so I'm just looking forward to having a good time with this one. Yeah, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so let me get this out of the way. Movie 2. Why? Japan. You know that Americans care about canon and continuity, right? So, are you gonna pick one? Okay, is the second movie a thing or not? Because, like, the second movie says that Ariel's house is gone, but it's clearly here in the anime, but then you have the album that shows the second movie clearly happened because you have the play scenes, which are represented by a bunch of just yoinked stills out of the second movie and placed into a photo album. It's like, I mean, okay, you're saving time and just grabbing them, but like, when they flash back to, like, the Dark and Light episode, they actually reanimated or re-illustrated scenes, whereas this one, you're just like, nah, just paste a couple of stills. Like, it's not like the animation is that different, and you can just write it off as, like, oh, camera quality, or just something. I don't want to focus too much on that, because I actually liked this episode, again. Like, this was also really good. I think the best way I can put it is that this episode in one episode encapsulates why I like the original series more than the manga, and why, in general, I think I'm going to like the Clear Card anime more than the Clear Card manga, in that what it does is it takes the concepts that are in the manga, that are kind of bare bones and just kind of there, the groundwork, and it really expands on them. Like, the original anime was 70 episodes based off of 12 issues of manga, and it ran with it by adding a whole lot of cards, expanding the stories of the cards that were already in the manga. This is the same way, where it took, I was right, both Snooze and Labyrinth, and it combined them into one really good sequence, which, you know, I guess I'm disappointed that we don't get the UA part of this story as it happened in the manga, and we also don't get that moment in the manga where Sakura is, like, strangely, like, clairvoyant and knows her way through the labyrinth. We ignore that, and instead we just have a really fun scene where, so what happens is, like, Snooze puts Akiho to sleep, and then when they're chasing it out the door, they find out that Labyrinth is also there, and it has created a space around Sakura's house, and the entire fight happens there, and it looks really cool. Like, I walk, or she's walking out the door, and I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing there, and I am totally on board with this. Yeah, I loved that. So I'm glad that the anime is really giving liberty to take the concepts that are in the manga and really play with them beyond expectations, which has also been really good. I didn't really talk about it last week, but it was something they did with Spiral, because Spiral was also really not really developed in the manga at all. It just kind of happened, so they gave it an entire episode. Now, admittedly, the creativity behind that episode was kind of lacking because it was just a rehash of episode 3, but the point still stands, is that just like its predecessor, the original series, the Clear Card anime is taking what the manga gives it and expanding it considerably into its own thing. So, what else do I like about this episode? Not a lot else. I mean, that's basically the all-encompassing thing. I'll take my weekly jab at animation, and it's weird because I feel like this anime's only problem now is just faces, because there were a lot of moments in this where there was some really fluid animation, some really cool things, there was a lot of posing, a lot of movement, especially once the Labyrinth section happened, where she has to jump all around, and you know, you're inverting angles and doing all sorts of stuff. So it's not like they're not trying. It's just like, I don't know. I guess I'm focusing a lot on faces, but like the faces get really lazy to me, and you know, when I illustrate, like, I put a lot of effort into faces, probably to a fault. Like, I'm actually not as good at bodies as I am at drawing faces sometimes. So I guess it's a difference in priorities, but you know, for a series that, again, I always have praised for animation quality and attention to detail, it's a shame to see something that I consider so important as an artist to kind of be thrown to the wayside for time. And it's why I've said it before, I'm just holding out for like a full collection of the DVD to kind of be going back and fixing those details when they go by. And another thing that isn't necessarily a jab at the animation so much as it is just, it kind of strikes me as how different it looks. Because like there are scenes where Sakura and Akiho are in the kitchen together, and like these are scenes directly lifted from the manga. Like they drew the exact same panel, and they don't look as good as they did in the manga. And I don't know if this is necessarily laziness or it's just the style isn't translating well. Like the scene where they're talking about cognac, that is kind of the one where I lash onto the most. Is like, this really looked really cute in the manga, and in the anime it just kind of looks half realized. Like I don't know. I can't really articulate what it is that's off. I can't really say that it's, in this particular instance, that it's laziness, because it looks like they're really trying to emulate the manga. And in this case, it just looks more like it's not coming off well. Maybe that's just the manga scene just isn't translating to anime well. And that's understandable. Like when you throw color onto something, it can really change things. There isn't a whole lot else. We get another cameo from Mei Ling, and then she's just having another phone conversation. I'm sure there are Mei Ling fans that are really holding out for Mei Ling eventually making an actual cameo in the series, and I imagine she probably will. But yeah, right now we're kind of stuck with just phone conversations, which is nice. It's a nice organic way to have Mei Ling still in the series while comprehending that she doesn't have an actual real ability or need to be physically in the series. It's kind of a nice compromise with how they're trying to keep the anime mostly following the same beats as the manga. So like throwing an extra character in there would really throw that off. Whereas the original anime, like it had a lot more room to be flexible and do its own thing, which is why Mei Ling happened at all. This time, like they do seem to be trying to keep more of the same tempo with the manga, but they want to keep giving the fans of the anime what they want. So Mei Ling, you know, gets to be around, just not really around, so to speak. Beyond that, I don't think there's really too much else. I love that gravitation is getting a whole lot of use. Like that, like I said I loved gravity power, so I'm glad that this new card, this new anime-only card, is getting a lot of use. Like, it's not immediately forgotten about. Like, some of the anime-only cards from the original series, like, I don't know, Silent or Sweet, these things just, they had one episode, and then they were caught. And I always kind of chalk that up to, like, some cards were just thought of because they presented a good challenge for Sakura, but didn't actually have any real practical use. So it was just kind of a shortcoming of the anime deck. But I'm not really holding it against the series, so I'm at least glad that the clear cards are giving their anime exclusives, hopefully if we get a few more, which I think we're going to, that the anime exclusives will also get a few more really useful cards. So speaking of anime exclusives, what apparently is coming up next week looks like another anime exclusive story. I think it's the Sakura and the Upside Down Penguin. Now, if you've been following with the Twitter and stuff at all, I think NHK has put out like episode lists for the next few episodes, or like the toys have a few new things listed, and one of those things is a card called Reversal, which is not a manga card. So put two and two together. If the next episode title is called Sakura and the Upside Down Penguin, and there's an upcoming card called Reversal, I'm going to go on a limb here and say that next episode is probably going to be something about a card that can turn things upside down, which I can't conceive of how that's going to be really useful, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's useful for like rotating photos on the wall. I don't know. We'll see what this card can do next week. That is my prediction for that. Beyond that, there's nothing else to say. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for sticking with me now. This is 10 episodes, so we're getting close to halfway through the series. We're getting close also to Sakura's birthday, which I don't know what I'm going to do for that. I'm still on a diet, which means that, closing point, I'm really sad that this episode had so much food in it because I'm starving myself to death and they're just eating delicious anime food, and we all know that anime food looks great. And I'm going back to working on videos pretty soon. I'm in class right now, so I haven't had a lot of time to write and record anything other than these weekly videos, but I do plan to get back to it. You can see there's some things on the wall there that are popping up that I do want to do things on. Like I've got all those charms popping up, and you might be able to make it out. There's the new key hanging on there because I got some stuff from Ichiban Kuchi. But now I'm just rambling, so before I get on to another topic, I'm going to let you go. So thanks for watching. Bye.